Honestly, Americans, please, and I'm gonna say this again, please stop doing these public proposals. I can get that people like proposing in front of the world. I don't know, maybe to show that they're leaving the streets or some shit. But I don't get why it is that a lot of y'all like doing it during sporting events. Like, I've been seeing so many videos this week, and I think it's because I stumbled upon a compilation of them of just people going to propose at sporting events. So you'll find that during the halftime of basketball, during a baseball game, or, before or just after, like people are busy proposing to each other. And I'm wondering, is it because your relationship is a game?
And we want to welcome all y'all to Fan of a Fan, and this is strictly only for the fans.
Because if you actually think about it, for some of y'all, it is kind of like a game because, you'll get picked up and then, somebody will go and play around with you here and there, make you catch feelings for them. At some point, they'll fuck up. And while the both of y'all are busy playing each other, at some point, somebody's going to handle the balls. So you kind of think about it, it is sort of a game. But the unfortunate part about it is now you're making the rest of us kind of look at it, or at least the rest of the people that are over there busy watching the game go through whatever it is you're going through. And honestly speaking, much as yes, there's a lot of you that haven't received no's, I honestly feel as though some of y'all need to start receiving a no so that you can stop making these things public. Just make it private, make it between you two, and maybe you can do the social media thing where you get a photographer and a videographer, and then that's it. But honestly, this whole thing of public proposals during sporting events, it's a very American thing that I don't like. Because even think about it, who the hell has ever, during the history of Formula One, walked out on track and tried to propose to their girl? That should tell you enough about civilization and sports and not mixing your relationship with it. But, anyways, that aside, I think we do need to start the podcast, and I do have a very interesting guest. So, we might as well start so that you guys can finally meet him. So, in typical fashion, welcome to Break Time on West Side, your number one break time podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who will never, and I repeat, will never propose to his woman during a sporting event. He is a man who still wonders why the chicken crossed the road, yet KFC is always on the better side of town. It is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Fan of a Fan, the show where I decide to go and get one of the many fans that would like to be a part of the podcast, bring them on, and we have them discuss a couple of interesting topics. Now, the fan that I have with me today is not only a fan but is a fellow podcaster. And to be very honest, he's one of the most logical podcasters I've dealt with, in that he is so entertaining and so logical that it almost feels like I'm listening to myself. Pretty much just me sucking my own dick right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the podcaster and the host of Life on Levels, I give you Wesley Jeff.
Bro, so happy to be here, man. So happy to be here.
Oh, welcome to Break Time on West Side. It's honestly been some time coming. Like, I have always pictured you being on this podcast for one reason or
Me
another.
too, man. I can't tell you how. Like you hear that thing you just said. That is like listening to yourself. Been me all the time. I can confidently say that you are my favorite podcast right now. Like I have Break Time on West Side right now on my favorites on Chrome. Guarantee.
Oh my goodness, like that just massages my bosom right now. Like, bro, mad appreciation,
Yeah, 100%,
man. Because honestly, like, I listen to a lot of the stuff that you put out, and it's not really a matter of it being particularly similar. It's just very entertaining. And for those of y'all that have never listened to Life on Levels, go and listen to his entire podcast, and you'll actually realize that, unlike me, you actually include like alternative sounds.
Yeah.
Like, you pick very, very perfectly done comical sounds and just throw them in there, and it just makes it completely entertaining.
100%, man. I found that people like that. People like to relate to the emotion of the kind of thing you're talking about. If you're talking about you being a clown, you put that Nigerian sound in, people love that and they kind of laugh at you, but it's worth the trouble.
Yeah, definitely, man. Anyways, besides kissing each other's asses, I think we should actually get into our topic of today, because it's a pretty interesting one. So
I am so confused, man. I am so confused. But you tell people what you're talking about first, then I'll tell you how confused I am.
Okay. So the game a couple of weeks ago, depending on when you listen to this, it could be years even. So the game a couple of weeks ago happened to be trending on both Twitter and IG because somebody was busy sharing his post on IG, and he had done a couple of tweets regarding women and marriage and taking care of them. So because there are a bunch of them, I'll just try and read them all out, sort of like in one entire statement,
Yeah.
so that we can kind of look into them. So he started by saying, maybe I'm old school, but my woman ain't paying one damn bill. Not rent, not mortgage, not a car note, not nails, hair, clothes, phone, or groceries. If you're taking care of home cooking and fucking the shit out of me, life on me, period. Why she gotta pay half the rent? She giving you half the pussy or something? Niggas kill me. Since the beginning of time, real men have always taken care of shelter, providing, and protecting. And if you ain't got it, go get it. If you're lucky enough to land an independent woman who works her ass off and still comes home to cook, clean, take care of kids, and go crazy sexually, let her stack what she can make in income in case y'all need it one day and still handle everything as a man. Everybody different, but it ain't just me to let my woman share the worry of paying for anything. I feel good carrying that load and I'm not changing it. Let me even stop there.
Man,
Oh,
what? You gonna start or do I start, man?
please do the
Let me tell you
honors.
something, yeah? I kind of get where the game is coming from. 100%.
Okay.
But first of all, you have to realize that this nigga is loaded enough to make that statement. Let me ask a question, yeah?
Okay.
How would it look if the game was actually expecting his woman to pay for a bill? The game ain't your regular nigga. The guy has money.
Exactly.
So he is speaking from a point. You know what this looks like?
What?
It looks like the same thing Cardi B does when she says broke men don't deserve no pussy. Where she been interacting with broke men since she got loaded? How does she know? Ever since she got loaded, she ain't seen a broke man in her life. The only man she's dated is the husband, and the husband is loaded. So she's
Yeah.
probably just intoxicating shorties who are younger than her and broker than her. And I can guarantee you, there ain't nowhere in her life that she ever said that shit when she was broke.
Exactly. Because, especially for right now, she has got a man that offsets the bill. Pun
See what you did
intended.
there. But you see, the game is doing the exact same thing. I mean, look at it this way. The reason why the whole 50-50 bill or even chipping in on the bills came in is because the reality of how the society has become right now. Like a man
Okay.
makes middle to low income or medium income, all right? It's not enough for the
Yeah.
bills. So the woman says, I don't want to just sit on my ass like they used to back in the day. Because back in the day, your whole life as a woman just basically led up to you being a wife of someone, you know? Your whole
Yeah.
identity was predicated on you being someone's wife. But since that changed, women started feeling like they want to chip in on the bills. That's how the whole conversation came up in our society. So this nigga is acting like I walk up to a shorty and I'm like, so now we go on date, but you will pay for the rent. I will pay for the electricity this week. It doesn't happen like that. Most of the times,
Yeah.
shorties just choose, let me help your burden a little bit.
Okay. I probably think they do
Yeah.
sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes. But all right, let me just start from where exactly I feel like all of this is from. Because it's kind of the same thing that you're saying. I honestly feel as though this is something that all of us men feel. Like,
Me too.
I agree with what he says. I totally agree with it. But, and that's a very huge but, the only reason that I can agree to it is because this is something that I would want to do if I made the money. And technically, for him to say this, he's saying it from, and I hate to use this word, so I'll try and avoid using it. He's saying this from a position of privilege.
It is a position of privilege. Why are you apologizing for that shit? Cause let me just say this. See that likeness I made between him and Cardi B. The one thing they have in common is
Yeah.
that they're both on a position of privilege.
Exactly.
Let me ask you, if you talk to the wife, I guarantee you, when the time the game was coming up, she's gonna say she chipped in at some point in time. He took care of something that the game could not because he was coming up. So I think if I'm to guess where his mind was at, it's like, now I got it all. I don't see a reason why my woman should be paying any kind of bill now that I have everything I should. And let me tell you something. There's one tweet I wholeheartedly agree with that he said. It's this one. He says, if you find an independent woman and you're lucky that she comes home and does her stuff and all that,
Yeah.
He says, let you pay the bills, let her stack her money up. I agree with that. I agree with that absolutely. Even if I have an independent
Me
woman
too.
and I got my own money, she ain't gonna pay for shit. For simple reason, let her save her money for a rainy day. I might get sick, I might die, and that could be a whole nother conversation. But so long as we're both trying to come up, we're not there yet. I think the game cannot relate to most of the niggas who are reading his tweets.
True. And the people who are reading his tweets, I'd say 99% of them cannot relate to this.
They can't.
Or at least 97%.
They can't. I kid you not. They can't.
Yeah, but now here's where things kind of split between the both of us. Because the way I look at it, one, I don't think the babe that he's with right now was really there back in the day.
True.
So she got in when he had the money.
True.
So when you kind of look at where he's at, he kind of just brought her in and she started off not having to pay bills. So technically, even then, whatever it is that he's saying kind of has some merit, but only to a certain degree. Now, you look at the bit where people will say, oh, as long as I have the money, I'll handle the bill. I usually think about it a very different way. If we are in an equal position where both of us earn roughly the same amount of money, then we're both going to chip in. If I am making a lot more, then best believe I will handle those bills. Because look at it like this. Let's assume that the two of you and say wifey, are living in the same house, of course. Both of you are making the exact amount of money. Let's say it's 100,000 flat.
All right.
Now you take that 100,000 flat, that's gross. You go and you throw in taxes in there, plus, like the small bills that will come with like social security, health insurance. It comes to about 60, okay? From that 60, let's assume that the rent of the house has to be factored in, because this guy has to pay in for the house rent, because he's the man, he's got to handle the bills, okay? Let's assume that it's about 20. 20 is very, very low by Nairobi standards. So let's say he's paying that 20 G's. He's been dropped down to 40. Now, he has to factor in transport. Depending on how far he is from his place of work, let's throw in a cool 10,000 for transportation in case there's a rainy day and the transportation guys decide to charge like double or triple. That's come to what? About 30 G's? So now there's food for the house and the cost of the electricity, the water bills. Throw out 15,000 for that, because people have to eat, right? Now 15,000's been thrown down. You don't know if there's a kid or anything. And paying for a kid, if the kid is very young, if the kid requires school fees and any of that, might probably end up eating the rest of that. So this guy has close to zero in his account in the name of his own personal spending, right? But now look at the babe on the other side. She's also making 100. There's the taxes and the insurance and social security bills that will come in. She's also dropped to 60. So now her net is starting from around 60. Throw in transportation, assuming they're working at the exact same place and assuming that they leave at different times and will pay their own fare. Throw out the 10 G's, she's left with about 50. Now you take that 50 and that's entirely her money. She can have her nails done, she can have her hair done, she can buy herself shoes every single day, because I know there's babes that will go and spend 500 bob daily on just buying shoes. And while she's doing all of that, you expect that she'd be saving, right? You don't know how much she's saving. You don't know if that savings is going to include your name in it. And while all of this is happening, you're paying the bills diligently. Does it seem fair to you?
It does not, man. Let me tell you, it's I've always said this, and when I say this to someone, they felt like I was not putting them in the woman's position. So I asked what the woman's position is, and it's about her being the helper. So I was like, okay, cool. So this question came in because I thought about it like this, and she's a really good friend of mine who has her own perceptions of things, right? So I asked her this question. Say I'm a man, I'm earning 150,000, all right? And you're earning 50. So I'll take care of all the bills and you take care of the small things that might happen in the house, something broke, token deletion and stuff like that. Just the small things, all right? But this is not a guarantee of situations. The situations might be different. So what happens if you're the one who's having 150K and I'm having 50? Is it okay if I do the same thing that's expected with respect to the money that I'm getting? you know.
Yeah.
So when we talked with her, she had her opinion, I had mine. So I decided to throw these questions to some of the other female friends of mine I have. So do you know what their general answer collectively kind of sounded like?
Please tell me.
If they have 150k and I have 50k and we're dating, they still expect
Yeah.
me to pay all the bills, but we'd rather downsize and live substandardly to fit into my budget. So, like, we'll save 150k or however much you're saving out of that 150,000. But if we were supposed to be living in a house worth maybe 26, 27,000, we go to a house worth 10 G's so that we can fit into that 50k of mine. I found that to be absolutely baffling. And let me tell you, I was like, really? I thought the whole marriage thing was about partnership, which makes more sense. We have 200 G's, we sort out the bills, we save. Actually, I'm okay with giving you the money to manage our savings. You understand?
Wow, you're nice.
Like, I'm okay with that because women, quote unquote, are better managers of money compared to men, especially if you trust each other. That's the only quote, yeah? But I want you to mull over that response by those female friends of mine as I tell you something else I've noticed about the game streets. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yeah.
A friend of mine asked me the other day, if you take out a woman's body from the equation, the women you've ever interacted with in that kind of way, relationship setting, if you took out their body, what else are they left to offer you? Like, that question got me thinking. And now that I'm looking at the game streets, do you know, it just might be me, but consistently, he has made out his woman to be only valuable in terms of the body.
True.
And this might generate some controversy with your listeners, but I want to read you some parts that I've noticed, all right? He says that why she gotta pay half the rent? Is she giving you half the pussy or something? Why is the pussy being treated like it's being given to me? Like I ain't giving out dick at the same time.
Yeah.
Question number one.
Because, my question is, why are you arguing about half the pussy? Like, I don't pay for the date, or if I pay the entire date, or if I pay half of it, does that mean that I'm supposed to give like half the strokes?
I know, like it makes absolutely no sense. Because he might come off like a lot of women are gonna clap at this, but the keen person who looking at this is gonna be like, shit, this nigga just made us out to be pussy carriers. Because another tweet he says, she's not gonna pay the mortgage, the rent, blah 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 blah. If you're taking care of home, cooking, and fucking the shit out of me, life on me. So what that means? This nigga has generally employed the wife to just do the very things that women are fighting to not be looked at from that perspective. And you add a perspective of, I'm smashing you, so you gotta pay for the fact that I'm smashing you. Eddie Griffin, love the guy. He asked, since when did pussy become high class value than dick? Fucking don't start until the dick go up, and when the dick goes down, fucking stops. Who's giving what? I'm giving you the dick. What you mean, man? I mean, the only thing I can say I agree with the game is that independent woman part. If I have an independent woman and I have the money and she likes to work for her stuff, I'll let her work for her stuff. I'll pay for everything because things can change. I can go broke. I could get sick. I could die. At least she has something left for me and my kids. I don't want my woman fucking another man to bring up my kids.
Yeah.
You dig?
Agreed. Totally. So
agreed. Like this concept is trying to show that a man, and because let me tell you, men don't ask. I am yet to meet a man who downright asks a woman, yo, can we split half the bills? Most of the time, it comes from a point of concern from the woman. I realize your money is not enough and we are struggling with space in this house. Can we go to another house? I'll chip in with the rent. You dig? It always comes from a point of convenience. Most of the time, rather, from where I sit. Because let me tell you, on my podcast, I get a lot of stories from people. Some want to be like told to the world. Others just want a place they can talk. So I get a lot of stories. And when I've gotten these stories of moving in together, I've always gotten, like, I've always asked, how did it start? It's usually tulijipata tu. We're just living together and it's kind of normal. I have half my clothes in his house, so we just went with it. Other people are like, this nigga was living in a, say, a smaller house, like a bed sitter, and then the short is like, yo, I think your job is stable enough, we can move to a 1 bedroom house worth this much, I'll chip in some percentage of the rent, you dig?
Yeah.
So when you tell me, when my shorty wants to be more comfortable around my space, and you tell me that I'm looking for a roommate, you're disrespecting most of the niggas in your fan base. Because these niggas ain't on the same
Exactly.
level as you. You've been in the game, literally, pun intended, for more years than I've been alive.
Possibly,
You
actually.
have money enough to talk the way you're talking, but I guarantee you, men who are not at his level cannot relate to this.
Yeah. My final thoughts, just to kind of end things, because you've spoken quite a bit.
Yeah.
One thing I'd say is, because I know that there's people that are still individualistic, I'd say the both of you come together, chip in your money, handle the bills, whatever's left, split 50-50, or more like you split 50-25-25. So 150% will go towards the family's savings,
Yeah.
so that you guys can save for like a rainy day. Then the 25-25 goes to each of you.
Yeah.
In that, because women don't want to be left high and dry in the event of being separated or being left, and because guys don't want to lose everything in the event of a divorce or being left, you guys have your own
Yeah.
thing.
100%.
Yeah, I'd rather you do that instead of saying, oh, let her save everything. Because there's tons of women who'll claim that they're supposedly doing that, yet they're blowing all the money. So I'd say that's probably the safer option
Yeah.
for me. Then, personally speaking, I've been bold enough to actually ask a babe if she wants to handle the bill or if we should split 50-50. And we had gone on a date. I was so shameless about it. It's not that I didn't have the money. I just wanted to see her reaction to it. And the good thing is, she was so open. She was so open to actually paying it. But she did look at me differently. But anyways, those are her eyes. But now to
Yeah.
conclude, I will even pull from a song that talks on independent
Yeah.
women. She got her own. Jamie Foxx, Neo, Fabulous and shit. Fabulous said something very interesting. At some point, he's like, but even if I had to, ask my better half to, you'd be more than glad to. When I do that math, boo, you always try to add two.
Yeah.
I need someone who'd ride for me, not someone who'd ride for free. She said, boy, I don't just ride, she'll pull up beside of me. In other words, start
Yeah.
chipping in. Otherwise, if we get tired of you freeloading on us, we might as well just drop you and go for the next babe.
If you're a bill, I might well pay another bill.
Yeah, and just like the misogynists like to say, if behind every successful man is a woman, then the more women you get, the more successful you will be.
You
But
gonna die
anyways,
for that.
exactly. But
Yeah.
anyways, that being said, we want to know your thoughts and comments on this. Feel free to hit me up on the DMs at Breaktime on Westside. On IG is the DMs to go and send your thoughts and comments to. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end. Thank you so much, Wesley, for hopping onto the podcast and giving us your interesting thoughts and comments. Life on Levels podcast is available on Spotify, Anchor, and just about every other podcasting platform you would like to look through. So make sure you go and check it out. And if you are listening on Castbox, feel free to drop your thoughts and comments there, and I will attend to them accordingly. And I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.
Peace.